The psychology of people who stay in jobs they dislike. You don't wake up excited. You don't feel curious. You don't feel proud, but you still go. The alarm rings. You get ready. You show up, not because the work fulfills you, but because leaving feels heavier than staying. Most people assume that staying in a job you dislike means you're afraid of change, but that explanation is too simple. What's really happening has less to do with fear and more to do with safety. The mind is constantly evaluating risk. And when it compares the known discomfort of the present with the uncertainty of the future, it often chooses what it understands, even if it hurts. A job is rarely just a job. Its structure, its routine, its predictability. It answers quiet questions like, where do I belong? What do I do with my days? Who am I allowed to be right now? When those questions feel overwhelming, the job becomes an anchor, not a source of joy, but a source of stability. There's also the weight of investment, time spent, effort given, skills learned. Leaving can feel like erasing a part of your history. The mind resists that. It tells you, at least this makes sense. At least this pays the bills. At least I know what I'm doing. Staying becomes a way to protect the past from feeling wasted. Another quiet force is identity. When someone asks, what do you do? Your answer comes easily. That answer holds weight. Letting go of the job sometimes means letting go of a version of yourself. And identity loss, even when the identity isn't joyful, can feel destabilizing, so the mind delays. Not because you don't want something better, but because you don't yet know who you would be without this. There's also a deeper, emotional layer. Many people stay because they've learned to endure. They've adapted. They've become capable of functioning under conditions that don't meet them. Over time, endurance gets mistaken for strength, and discomfort becomes familiar enough to feel normal. When that happens, the absence of pain starts to feel suspicious. Sometimes, staying isn't about the job at all. It's about timing. Leaving requires energy, clarity, emotional space. And when life is already demanding, the mind postpones big changes. Not forever, just for now, except now keeps extending. It's important to understand this. People who stay in jobs they dislike are not lacking ambition. They're often responsible, thoughtful, aware of consequences. They think beyond themselves. And that consideration can quietly trap them. The cost of staying is rarely obvious at first. It shows up slowly, in Sunday evenings that feel heavy, in motivation that fades, in a sense of being slightly absent from your own life. Not burned out, just dimmed. If you're in this position, the question isn't, why don't I just quit? That question creates pressure. A better question is, what is this job protecting me from right now? Financial fear, uncertainty, judgment, disruption. Okay, so after all that uncertainty, financial fear, judgment, and disruption, we're really starting again. When the protection becomes visible, the situation becomes clearer. Change doesn't have to be sudden. Understanding often comes first. Noticing what feels misaligned. Noticing what still feels safe. Noticing what you've outgrown. These observations matter. They're not indecision, they're preparation. This isn't a story about weakness. It's a story about how the mind chooses stability when it does not yet trust what comes next. And sometimes that trust takes time to build. Staying doesn't always mean you've given up. Sometimes it means you're waiting for something to feel solid enough to step toward. Understanding that can soften the self-criticism that often comes with staying. And when the moment does arrive, it tends to come with more clarity than force. This space is about noticing the inner patterns that shape our choices, especially the ones that don't look dramatic from the outside. If you'd like to keep exploring those patterns, you can subscribe. And if this reflection resonated, consider sharing it with someone who's carrying more than their job description suggests. Sometimes, the first shift happens quietly, long before anything changes on the surface.